Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Namaste everyone, I'm Tarushi and this is Crazy Mad Woman, presented by Stories You Should Know. My guest today is a social scientist turned growth hacker. She's the owner and founder of In Your Corner Marketing. Please welcome Dawn Andreas. Hi Dawn, welcome to Crazy Mad Woman. So tell us, what happened that changed your life forever and the world called you crazy or completely mad?
So I live in Los Angeles. I live in a very nice part of Los Angeles. And I was leaving my gym in broad daylight at 3:20 in the afternoon and was crossing the street to go do very LA things, get my lavender latte and my gluten-free avocado toast. And I say this because the stereotype is important, and I'm a white woman and I'm leaving my very expensive gym, whatever. And I'm actually attacked in broad daylight by a homeless woman. She takes me down in this crosswalk with active traffic and goes straight for my eyes and ends up breaking two of my vertebrae. The complexity on the other side of that story, we won't go into that, but everything that happened with the interactions with the police, bystanders kind of came to my rescue, et cetera, is a podcast in itself. It's actually why I'm writing a book, right? But the subsequent part of that is I was very clear. One, I did not know my back in two places until 5 days later. And that's a longer story. But when I found out that my back was broken, having always been an athlete, I was like, wow, I don't know how to handle this injury because your back is your back. Like if your knee is hurt, you can, not use your leg and, there are a multitude of things you can do to still keep going, right?
Right.
Your back is your back. And that just seems very personal and very like your livelihood, and so there were all these restrictions. And so to heal from this place, what do? Well, people tell you like, go see a therapist, go get a physical therapist, go follow the directions. And I started down that pathway, but my background, my undergrad and master's are both in social work as well. And I'm very I kind of know what I know and I typically don't follow the rules. And so, I went to therapy. I saw the PT and the normal doctor, and I was a month and a half in and none of it was working. And I knew this and I'm like, there is a spiritual reason why this happened. And so I stopped all traditional methodology of healing and hired a shaman, hired a group of people that are immensely talented in fascial release. And this is also when the world was like, you're crazy. Like you can't, if you don't do these other things, you're not going to heal. And ended up healing way faster and I think way more thoroughly. I mean, this is obviously the short part of the story than had I had stayed with those traditional methods, right? In the midst of that, and this is the secondary story, like where like I'm crazy could happen or I'm mad, is in that time I also walked away from a multiple six-figure job. I was very clear that like, this is where the story intersects, is that like, when I said, what is the spiritual meaning of this? It was like, if you keep living the way you're living, you are actually going to kill yourself. It's like the story of burnout that so many women experience, but like, we're like, we'll just hold on. Right. And so I walked away after that event and a few months later from a multiple six-figure job. And I signed up for this event called Everesting, where you hike the elevation of Everest. You basically go up and down a mountain multiple times in 36 hours. So I tell the crazy story that I felt like I was like in, the book Wild, like I was Reese Witherspoon in the movie, just like hiking my ass off to process my own shit.
So let me get this right. You met with this accident, and right after that, when you were healing, you decided to move away from your six-figure job. You just left it. Did you have a plan? Did you know what you were going to do?
So I had really no plan other than I knew if I continued working in the way that I was working, I would never heal. And I knew that I would also never heal physically. And there was just this thing that, let me be more specific, there was just a knowing that I had to listen to my body, right? And in my mind, or how I feel I express in my body, is I had to also listen to my soul. Like, yes, I'm carrying a physical body. Yes, my soul is part of that physical body, or whatever you believe. But I had to hear my own truth and take action on it. Otherwise, I would never have the opportunity to step into the life that was being called forward by my soul. And I know that sounds very woo-woo and very deep. And most people are probably like, wait, what? Repeat that again. Like, you have a purpose here. Your soul wants to be expressed. And I was diminishing the light and the opportunity of my soul by working the way I was working, right? I was basically harming myself, right? And, tolerating a lot of things. And I think if we think it doesn't hurt acutely, we are not being hurt. But long-term chronic tolerance is a form of self-oppression and self-abuse, right? So I had no plan really, other than I knew I had a good 3 to 4 month runway financially and I was going to be fine. And so because I was not cleared to do anything else other than walk, and I had this event coming up in July, hiking this mountain 13 times and doing 29,000 vertical feet in, 36 hours. And that mountain in Utah was no joke. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, that's why I always go back to the book Wild and, that movie. And I was like, I get it. I get why she set out on the Appalachian Trail and just hiked her ass off.
Yeah.
Because it is where you figure, to me, you're in movement, you're kinesthetically processing. And it's like where I feel like I figured everything out.
So, when you were thinking about going for Everesting and taking part in this event, in between, did you think about what you were going to do? Because initially, of course, you didn't. And now it's time for you to move ahead in life. So, what was the plan? Did you figure it out at all?
I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew that I was going to go to Utah in August. It was the latter part of the month. And after that, I would figure it out. The problem was, or the challenge was, is that even though I was financially okay for another 2 months beyond August, because I had been in this world of coaching and marketing and the digital product space for so long, people knew my name and I was getting referrals. So it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks before I left for Utah. So the beginning of August, I took all of July off and going to Utah in August. And, these referrals start coming in to do marketing work. And so I was like, okay, because why would you say no to money? And these were really good humans and really good people with great products and great messages. And I'm like, well, I would be really honored to work with them. And I will tell you that that is the biggest mistake I ever made. Because what happens is, yes, like they say, the saying goes, my grandpa used to say this, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, right? So like that you are given an opportunity, it seems like a positive. Well, if you don't say yes, I think we're conditioned to believe, will there be more? If I don't say yes now, there may not be, we're conditioned for lack, like we were saying. And so I said yes and fell back into the same habits of working now I was working for myself, but working just as hard as I was for that other company and back to 60 and 70 hour weeks. And so then you need your next personal revolution, hopefully without the pain or as much of a physical like interruption, right? And so that's actually where I have been, ironically, a year later now.
And there's
So
always something about having your own like own business, having your own thing, which you know that this is your baby. And you never feel bad for working for 16 hours, 24 hours to, run that system, making it bigger.
Yes. So yes, and it feels different when you're doing it for yourself. But the pattern that I saw emerge that I just called kind of a halt on in this past August. So literally like we're like a year, like a year's time has gone by. I am at the end of the day a great strategist. And this is not to pat myself on the back, but I had to say what I am best at, I am a social scientist turned growth hacker, meaning I can see the story, I can pull out the words, I can understand the behavior, which is why I'm a good marketer. But somehow in this work that we were doing, and I say we because I had partnered with someone that was more on the tech side of things, I suddenly woke up and realized that I had people coming to me, and this goes into systemic thinking, who were like, I just need you to run this Facebook ad for me. I just need you to build this funnel for me. Well, I have an inherent issue with the industry, which again also sounds mad. I work in this industry and I am basically speaking up against the bros and the patriarchy, which is because everyone kind of perpetrated just build a funnel, follow this worksheet and build a funnel and they will come. And that's not how it works. And so often I see these baby or newbie entrepreneurs, as I call them, starting out and being taken by what the industry is teaching. So when someone comes to me, so in August, I had just have this, I have to stop. People were showing up and saying, just build this funnel for me. How many dollars per hour will that be? No, I don't work. We work holistically. So, it's interesting because the healing I sought out, I believe, was very holistic in nature. And what I prescribe to my clients, or what I want to collaborate, I am not the guru. What I want to collaborate with my clients on is that holistic piece. So when someone comes and says, hey, just run these Facebook ads, and I look at everything and I'm like, if I do this, you're not going to get what you want. Your potential client isn't going to get what they like. It does more harm than good. So again, the other crazy message is saying no. I had a very downturned month in August, and I think that that's an interesting piece and an interesting place to be. And so, the average person would tell you, it doesn't matter, just take the money.
Right.
But take the money, I am hurting you. I am helping you hurt yourself longer term. So please go find someone else that will take your money if you really want this thing done, but I can't do it for you. So yeah, so to wrap this up, I mean, where I am now, I just took another pause in August, and I had to figure out okay, I can do a lot of things. And I think especially multi-talented women often run into this problem, right? And maybe you even run into this problem yourself, is that you can do a lot of things, and you might even like doing a lot of things, which is also really tricky. But the thing is what should you be doing? Back to the purpose and your soul and your gifts and talents, and where should you really be valued? And so I just put my hands up and I told my business partner, I need taking off all of Labor Day week, here in the States, and taking off a full week. I haven't taken off a full week and I don't know how long, I'm not taking any client calls. I'm not taking any client requests for proposals, nothing. I'm not looking at any of it. And because I have to figure out who I want to be. Because I could be a lot of things, but the more I keep being this other thing, the more I don't get to use my gifts. And so I paused. It was scary. I didn't have the financial runway that I had before. So again, crazy moment, right? But you got to do it. And ironically, through either the grace of God or the universe or just my own getting clear on what you need and what you put out there, literally just stepped into yesterday one of the most exciting contracts and biggest opportunities that I have had in the last 5 years.
That's so good to hear.
Right? Yeah. I mean, right. So you're please get to a happy ending in the story. You're please stop get out of the pain. But I mean, I think sometimes we quit too early. I had to be in it. I had to sit with myself. I had to get people around me that were willing to sit in it with me and not just say like, no, move on. And that even goes back to the messaging thing. I think like people move on to other parts of their businesses too soon when they haven't figured out who they're being.
Right.
Who you're being can evolve, but like, don't put yourself in a box, right? So the minute I said I will not accept the box, like the perfect thing showed up.
That was Dawn Andreas, everyone. Crazy Mad Woman is a production of Stories You Should Know. It's written and produced by me. Our theme music is Road Trips by O'Shane. Thank you for listening to Crazy Mad Woman. Take care, everyone. Help someone in need if you can. And be kind.
It sound right, boy.